So as I mentioned a few minutes ago, the important piece is our support as we look at now through June, probably all year, since we've had these pieces of trainings and have been working with districts. The support really will come from that ongoing support along the way as we build over the course of the next several months. So one of the things I'm going to ask to get us back on track is that as we move into this last hour, if you need to take a break, we'll do that individually, and that will catch us back up on our 15 minutes of time so that we get you out of here by 3:30. So hopefully that works. A little executive decision to get us on track. And where we're moving into is to give 3 different county offices the opportunity to share, both a small, a medium, and a large size county, the types of work they're doing with their districts now in preparation for understanding the rubrics, or now the dashboards, as they are rolled out, as well as their work in helping districts understand what's changing when it comes to the template, and really helping them think strategically about how to improve outcomes for students. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Modoc County, and Misty and Lisa are coming up at this point.
Thank you, Judy. I'm Misty Norby, and unfortunately Lisa wasn't able to make it with us today. She had many road closures and ever-changing weather conditions, so she is not here, but I do have Leslie Corder here with me, and she is our Director of Business Services. So as we kind of reflected on where we came from in Modoc County, and for those of you who don't know where we're at, we are in the northeast corner of California, and we border Oregon and Nevada. For those of you who are interested in where Burning Man is, in that picture is that very vast desert. It's in the east corner, so we always have fun seeing that come through our county every year. So anyway, like I said, when we reflected, as a county, we are very collaborative with our districts, and so we really took on the approach of it's our students, our plans. And so that was the approach we took from day one. It's definitely a team approach, as many of us in our county office wear many hats. And so our team consists of, at this point, our superintendent, myself and Leslie, and then Lisa Butler, who we added this year as our instructional program specialist. When we bring new information to our county, we meet with our districts, all of us together, and then if there's any questions that we weren't able to answer at that point, well, we refer to Judy. So, but as we go along the process, they have a go-to person within our county, and so each of us take one of the districts, and we come alongside them through this whole process and are basically there for any of their information or questions they might have. Through this new process, after every one of our trainings, we've met with all of our districts together, may include some of their administrators or their business office people. Let's see. We've had so far 3 face-to-face sessions, and we have one scheduled for after this one to meet with them. We share all of our resources using Google Docs, and basically follow up with all of our superintendents at our superintendent cabinet meetings. We also walk through with them the whole process. I don't know how many drafts we review with them, how many questions through that process, clarifying questions, and again, referring to Judy. Yeah, Leslie also speaks with and works with closely all of our business managers through this process as well. I would say some of the sharing of the new information that has come out of this that our districts really appreciate. As a region, we are extremely collaborative with our neighboring counties, so that helps us. But knowing that the whole state is on the same page, that we're having these discussions with all county offices within the state, they really appreciate that they're in the know. Because for us, any airport is 3 hours away. So just to give you kind of an idea of how far information is for us, we like being on the same page as everybody else. Some of the unintended outcomes for this, they really liked the state priority indicators and EMOs linking the worksheets and activities. Our superintendents took it back to their administrators at their districts and actually worked with them on it, which is helpful. Another unintended outcome was we had a superintendent who was disconnected with their business office, and them being in these trainings together put them on the same page, gave them a common language, and it really allowed some aha moments for both individuals. And now that collaborative relationships between both of them has tremendously increased, and we've gotten a lot of positive feedback. And then lastly, one of our districts wants us to share it with everybody. So I'm not sure exactly what that's going to look like for us, but they really appreciated just being able to pour through the rubrics to be able to have those discussions with their teachers to see where it's at. And so for us, that is how our small Modoc County operated this year. Anything you want to add? Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Angie Lind. I'm the Senior Director of Curriculum and Instruction at El Dorado County. With me today is Rosalind Manansala-Smith, who is our Director of External Business. And so we're here today representing, I guess, a medium-sized county. We always think of ourselves as a small county, so we've been kind of upgraded and are feeling very good about ourselves right now. We have a large geographic area. The county line starts about 30 miles east of Sacramento. South Lake Tahoe is part of our county. We're bordered by Placer County and Amador County. So pretty big. We only have 27,000 students enrolled, so large geographically, but pretty small population of students. We have 15 districts. 2 of our districts are one-room schoolhouses, and one of our superintendents is also the principal and the teacher at that school. So we have some kind of unique districts, I think. Our largest district has about 7,000 students. We have 2 unified districts, 1 high school district, and the rest are K-8. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rosalind.
So the approval process in El Dorado County is very similar to probably Modoc's and most others in this room. We review the district LCAPs, we look at the 3 requirements, but we actually work again very collaboratively. Both CI&A, curriculum and instruction, and business work together. Initially, before we even read LCAPs, we always meet and we set our expectations for that year. Together as business, and we invite our entire team, some of which we have over here on our table. And so the first part of our review actually starts with the CI team. And we use the CSESA LCAP approval manual. We stick to that and use actually take a lot of pieces from there to kind of make them our own. CI team actually sits together in a room together. We've only got 15 plus a few other LCAPs that we're reading, and they actually work together to read them and kind of work individually and then come back together as a team as well. And so once they approve it, they move it over to business, and we work to review kind of the technical business side of it. And so we also utilize the LCAP approval manual, the CSESA one, and we actually take a lot of the templates they use, drop it into Excel, and we'll create different Excel files for each of our districts. And we use that for our feedback with our CBOs, work very closely with them. We're able to email pieces out of our Excel documents, and we have the data in front of us every time. We do a lot of cut and pasting out of those templates, put them into email so that we have everything documented as far as our follow-up with our districts. So we find that approval manual very helpful because we're not having to create templates. It saves so much time on our end, and then we just make it our own for our unique districts. In addition to, so then once we finish our business, we bring it back to CI, and they do the final approval. Angie works with our superintendents, and we communicate it that way. The other piece that we thought was important was on a business side, one of the pieces that we provide during our approval process, and even before that, is we kind of take the view, we read the entire LCAP, and we kind of look at it through the lens of a stakeholder. None of us are really truly instructional experts on the business side, so we look at it through a stakeholder lens. And if something doesn't make sense to us, more than likely it's not going to make sense to some of the stakeholders. So we actually will follow up with our districts on that and kind of, I guess, provide feedback or best practices on, I work in education and this doesn't make sense to me. It may not reach the people you're trying to reach. So we also provide that level of service. And luckily, we have the relationships where we're able to do that and not get negative feedback from our districts. So with that, I'm actually going to let Angie continue on about the relationships we have.
Like Modoc County mentioned, and Rosalind's talked about our approval process and our partnership with that process. Much of our work with our districts actually takes place before the approval process. Like Modoc County said, they start working with their districts from the very beginning. We have done that too. We're a very collaborative county. We have a good relationship with our superintendents in our districts, and we had pre-existing structures in place that we use to support our districts. And so we already, like many of you, I'm sure, we have a superintendent's council, we have categorical program meetings, we have a curriculum council, we have regular CFO meetings. And so what we did when the LCAP came out is we just used those structures to start our training. And based on those previous relationships and the collaboration, it made it really easy for us to start talking to our districts about the specifics of the LCAP. So we took the information we were getting from CISC and from CDE, and we put that into our existing structures. But it became pretty clear to us after a while that we needed another structure. And so what we did is we created our we call it our LCAP lead writers meeting. And what that is a monthly meeting that we bring the superintendent, the CFO, and anyone else on their writing team that they want to bring, and we provide professional development for that. It actually increased the level of partnership that we have. At the very beginning of those, I presented at those, and we had a different external business person before Rosalind, and I would invite her to come and talk about Section 3, which when I would explain, I thought I explained it clearly, but our superintendents did not agree. And so I brought in the big guns from business to help me out. But once we started doing that, it became very clear that what made sense was not C&I talking to the group and then business talking to the group, but rather planning the presentations together to make them effective and meeting the need, both sides of the LCAP. It's not just about curriculum and instruction. And so it's strengthened our partnership. It's made our trainings much more effective for our superintendents. And when we talk about this year especially, this series of 4 trainings, we've been able to take this material and immediately, like the next week, take it to Soups Council and use it at Soups Council. We use it to talk about the accountability system. The link of the accountability system to the new template has been very effective for us in getting the information out, the new information out to our districts. We also, in addition to our lead writers meetings and the other structures I talked about, we do take the time to individually meet with superintendents, every year. And then as requested, we also will visit districts at their site team, always with the focus being along the way of the collaboration. The other thing about these trainings that I'm finding very helpful this year is The collaboration piece can be a double-edged sword for us. Sometimes when we're collaborating a district and we have to put on our approval hats, districts have very strong opinions about what can or should or must. And so this collaboration together is extremely helpful for us because it kind of gives us the understanding we need to explain to districts why it's a good idea to do it this way. Whether it's a best practice or a requirement, these trainings have really helped us kind of, solidify our understanding. And so in the future, our next trainings, we're going to be focusing very much on the new template, how the accountability system relates to that template, and also to help our districts, if we were going to identify what we would consider an area that could use improvement for our districts, it's the use of data. To either support what they're doing or to refocus their resources in another direction. And so looking at these trainings that we've had will help us do that as well. So we wish there were more, actually. They've been very helpful. So thank you, and thank you for listening to us today.
Good afternoon, everyone. And of course, I come up and mess up the mic as soon as I walk up here. My name is Melissa Bazanos. I'm the Director of Accountability and Assessment for the Riverside County Office of Education. And this is Joanne Lauer, Director of Research and Implementation. And we're briefly going to share a few details about what we've been doing in our county. I'm assuming since we're last, we get to be the large example. And unlike the two counties that went before us, we didn't put beautiful mountain scenes. We have a picture of our building. We don't have a national forest named after our county, but we do have Joshua Tree and San Jacinto Mountain, so that's good for us. So, but Riverside County Office of Education, we extend from the Orange County, LA County to our west, and the Arizona border to our east. So again, very wide geographic area, and almost 430,000 students, so a very large student population as well. And 23 school districts and charter schools, so many different entities to serve. So when we were thinking about preparing for this year, knowing that we had so many changes forthcoming and so many unknowns when the year began, what we started with was just calendaring and locking in dates for all of our different networks, from superintendents to our state and federal program directors, English learner directors, assistant superintendents, family engagement network, our CBOs, all of the networks that will play some role in this process. We wanted to make sure those were calendared and ready to go so that as information was provided, we would have an opportunity to meet with those different networks throughout the year. So the key to this is to be able to work with our business services department as well. So fiscal services and educational services both have information and opportunities to share similar information throughout the year. So when the CBOs go back and talk to the superintendents, they're actually talking about the same information. Internally, we decided to have monthly meetings with our Educational Services Division, which includes curriculum and instruction, our ed tech, we have CTE, CTI, which is our teacher induction, pupil administrative services, so CWA. So a lot of our different departments within educational services, we also had monthly meetings so that we could continue to stay up to date with all of that, everything that was coming with the state and federal accountability and continuous improvement system. And then lastly, we did advertise LCAP workshop dates for our districts that would span throughout the year. They were intentionally aligned to our Instructional Leaders Network, which is when our assistant superintendents of ed services were in our building. So we knew that they would at least be present and we could have them stay for an extended period of time to attend the LCAP workshops. And our intent for those LCAP workshops, again, was to use materials that were consistent with the state message and consistent with what was being shared with other counties across the state. So what we've accomplished so far this year, this is just July through December, again, we use those networks as an opportunity to take snippets from information we've learned in these settings, information from the State Board of Education, and information from other networks in which we participate. So Regional System of District and School Support, RISDIS, state and federal program directors, Joanne's a Title III lead. So again, all the different networks, we want to make sure that we're hearing and sharing consistent information across all of the networks. Our first LCAP workshop that we held in November, we again did the big picture overview of all that's new in our state and federal accountability system. And we started playing with the indicators. How are those calculated? What is it going to mean? How is it going to be reported? And we did some data modeling and some simulations using the indicator methodologies and shared those with our districts. What might it look like when it's published? So we've been using Tableau and a few other data platforms to be able to share with districts what the anticipated data may look like, with caveats that this is based on our interpretation of the methodology and the state board may change its mind. So we're just going to share with them the things that we knew to be true up to that point. Internally, we did our overview of our accountability system, again, as I mentioned, with our entire division of educational services. And then we talked about what, if we're going to forecast areas of need with which our districts may need support, how might we organize ourselves so that we can better provide that support and meet those needs. So wanting to make sure that we internally understood the implications for the role of the county office in this system and how we must organize ourselves to be able to meet those needs for all the students in the districts. And then lastly, we started exploring the idea of an LCAP FastPass. Joanne's going to talk more about that, but that actually was an idea that came to us from San Diego County, so thank you for that. And I'm going to turn over to Joanne.
So as we move forward in continuing our own support and proactive approach with our districts, this is inclusive of, and I apologize, I can't even read, this is inclusive of our consistent messaging through all of our networks. So from January through June, we continue that messaging for the common message, connecting back to what we are learning in all entities as described by Melissa, whether it's the state board, state committees, the RISDIS, even anything that is come along that way to support our messaging and common messaging, but also to give us the line towards support, that our county is there as a proactive measure to support our districts through this process. And that as we move in that direction, we also have a superintendent and board member meeting that is actually coming up one evening next week, where our superintendents invite their boards to come to an evening and learn about this and also have that common message and support process that's extended to them. So all levels are hearing the same messaging and sharing of the same ideas. Our LCAP workshops have been primarily informed by these CESESA workshops. So they have been absolutely invaluable. And they've also provided an excellent arm for us to be able to continue to develop our relationship and build and work together with our fiscal programs and services. And so we now are an interdependent team as we approach this work and support our districts. And our workshops have been invaluable for that piece. Our January workshop is coming up on the 27th. Even absent of the new dashboard data, we will be using the sample data that was provided from the last meeting that we had here with CESESA. The Early Adopter Professional Learning Network with CCE, I don't know well, I know there are a few others in here with us with that. So we have 5 districts that are involved in that, and we are primarily digging deep into the messaging and what are the implications for districts around that. So in the case of data, when the data is released, we'll have an opportunity in this early adopter network to dig into that data and what are the implications and considerations for districts and what are the feedbacks from those districts. And then that feedback then informs our future LCAP workshops. In addition to that, we also have informal survey that we are using with our districts to inform our LCAP workshops and what is that pertinent and coming up and that they would like some more information on, and we ensure that we respond to that. And then finally, we have our LCAP FastPass, and again, thank you, San Diego. They've been instrumental in assisting us with this. And our FastPass really is designed primarily through the ongoing support on a proactive basis to ensure that our districts not only are compliant with their LCAP, but that they truly understand and benefit from our support and the continuous improvement process through the lens primarily of equity. So we continue to bring up the equity piece and the data through that lens and how can we support our student groups to best meet their needs. And so we really work very hard at that. And our FastPass system,
is inclusive of what is happening now. And then in May, when we do the, I'll call it preliminary review, where we work hand in hand and interdependently with our fiscal services, we have one voice that's returning back to them, or what are some considerations, and we're working hand in hand in that. And then finally, after that review is taking place, then in July, our entire Ed Services division does a program review and also works with fiscal. And in that program review, this is after the compliance review has been made, then we construct with the Cynthia Woods, our Chief Academic Officer, constructs letters in correlation and in partnership with fiscal services to provide proactive feedback and considerations for their future LCAP. So affirming the direction that they've done, affirming the goals that they've accomplished, but then asking them to consider possible other approaches or areas of data that they could further look into. So this is beyond the compliance piece, and that is our opportunity to provide support and nudge towards a better, more comprehensive LCAP for all of our students. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for all that. It's great. I think I saw Judy physically shudder when Angie Lynn said that she wants more trainings. That was, sorry, anyway. Gary, come on up. Sorry, I don't know why I did that.